Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour number 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, working towards the weekend, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Let's talk some Southeastern Conference football, specifically some quarterbacks. To do that, we bring on our friend Connor O'Gary. He's from the next round, joined us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Connor, appreciate the time. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, it's kind of weird to be going into this week before the start of the season and knowing that we have all these quarterback battles actually decided. I was fully ready to be debating this going into week 1 and maybe, hey, we're not going to know this going into this game, but here we are. Everything's decided.
Until it's not, and somebody plays really poorly and turns it over 3 times, and a coach makes a shift, and then we'll talk about it all again. I think that's probably how it's going to work in some cases. Let's start in Tuscaloosa. Kalen DeBoer had Mac follow him from Seattle, and then he's got a 5-star sitting there on the bench, and he goes with Keelan Russell. What can you tell us?
I'm all in on Keelan Russell. I've thought for a bit now that this staff views him as the righty Michael Penix. And I think that when he was recruited, he had this very, meteoric rise as a recruit, somebody that just continued to get better, this former 3-star guy that was committed to SMU, and he turns out to be a 5-star guy who commits to Bama and then is on the cover of Men's Health. And, there's a lot of course, there's a lot of attention associated with him because of that 5-star label. But everything that you hear about him is that he just does the wow things. And it was once he started to avoid those mistakes in camp that's when he truly separated from Austin Mack, who, by the way, Austin Mack is in year 4 in this offense with Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer, only 3 of which with Ryan Grubb, I guess. But still, like they had a lot of loyalty to Austin Mack after he followed them from Washington to Alabama. So, I don't think it was a given that Keelan Russell was just going to emerge as the clear guy. But, yeah, I mean, I think he's the real deal. I think Bama is going to be 10-2 this year as a result of having someone that can do the extraordinary things that he can bring. And I think that at this time next year, we'll be talking about him as one of the top returning quarterbacks in all of college football.
It was borderline stunning to watch LSU and Alabama week in, week out last week either not try to run the ball or not be able to run the ball or both. Do you think Alabama can figure that out with Keelan Russell back there, how they can be a little bit more balanced and run the ball?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot of faith in Ryan Grubb as a run game schemer. You see how quickly Seattle went from this team that couldn't run the football, and all of a sudden the Seahawks win a Super Bowl with Clint Kubiak as their OC, even though they suffered a huge, devastating injury late in the season to Zach Charbonnet. I just thought all that boded really poorly for Ryan Grubb in terms of running the football. And so I don't have a lot of faith that this staff is also going to figure that out. I really think that Keelan Russell was brought in there because of what he can do to extend plays and what he does behind the line of scrimmage to be able to kind of throw his receivers open. That's what he's going to bring to the table. He's really not as much like a proven runner as maybe what his skill set would suggest. It's kind of Bryce Young in that sort of way, albeit with a bit bigger of a frame where he can maybe take some more of those hits. But, yeah, I don't really have a lot of faith that this ground game is ever really going to be a true strength. Can they flirt with mediocrity and maybe find someone that can emerge and kind of be their feature back in the way that 2023 Washington team did with Dylan Johnson? Yeah, that's possible, but I don't really expect them to all of a sudden set the world on fire and remind us of Bama teams of old.
Another team that went with the young hot shot is Tennessee over the veteran who returns. So tell me about the decision that Josh Heupel made. LSU travels to Knoxville, second to last weekend of the season.
Yeah, Hunt, it's fascinating because I think that we look at Faison Brandon and kind of assume, well, you know what, you got to give the job to the more talented quarterback in that room. Josh Heupel has really favored the upperclassmen quarterbacks. 4 of his 5 quarterbacks at Tennessee have been the upperclassmen. And the one time when it wasn't, it's Nico Iamaleava in 2024 And as a redshirt freshman, you kind of saw him take things off of Nico's plate. And you realize, like, maybe you can't do all the things in the offense that you really want him to do. And so I'm kind of curious what it's going to look like for Faison Brandon, who is going to be the first week one SEC true freshman starting quarterback since 2020. We saw that with Vandy and Ken Seals. This will be a little bit different than that,
That's
probably.
a little different.
Right? But, like, yeah, Josh Heupel has had all this success elevating the floor of his quarterbacks, and I do think that it's a fascinating situation because this defense is going to go through a transition, I think, with Jim Knowles taking over. You don't necessarily have the luxury that Nico had a couple of years ago with Dylan Sampson to hand the ball off to. I think Deshaun Bishop's a good player, but not on that level. So there are a lot of unknowns, and I think for a five-star quarterback who comes in with a lot of hype, it's going to be about what this offensive line can do. Can those veteran receivers help him out? Because I think those mistakes will come. It's just going to be about how drastic they are.
Up there on the hill in Fayetteville, Arkansas, it was KJ versus AJ, and KJ wins out. Did that surprise you, or that's kind of the way you saw it going?
That's the way I saw it going. AJ Hill is actually a former four-star recruit that Memphis was able to get. And, I think many might have looked at that and gone, oh, well, he's got the familiarity with the coaching staff, with the scheme, but KJ Jackson's just further along in his game. And the amount of times that I'm going to say KJ Jefferson instead of KJ Jackson is going to be high. Like, they're setting us up for failure with that. But, KJ Jackson at least got some reps late last season in relief of Taylor Green. He got to play on the road against that Texas defense and did some things that made you think, all right, you might have something here. He's got the frame at 6'4" to be able to play the position. He's got a really nice deep ball that I think is going to be an asset for this team. They need balance. I don't know if game flow is really going to be on their side this year with what I expect to be a pretty lackluster defense. Like, they're going to be trailing. They need a guy that can actually throw the football. AJ Hill is still really, really young and probably didn't give them as good of a chance to be able to do that as KJ Jackson did. So not necessarily a stunner, a guy that I think is really talented that Arkansas fans are intrigued by, but still a massive unknown for a guy that's got 56 career pass attempts.
And look, from the outside, and I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on the Arkansas Razorback roster, but it just feels like an uphill battle for Ryan Silverfield in year one and really just overall in Fayetteville. What's your confidence level they can at least get their feet on the ground this year before it gets away from them?
Yeah, it's a really uphill battle because, like, Ryan Silverfield, I think has done things really well as a head coach. I mean, his Memphis team last year beat Sam Pittman and was the reason that Sam Pittman got fired as early as he did last year. So I do think that, you have someone that you feel is going to be better in those close games that for whatever reason, Arkansas, not even just with Sam Pittman, they just can never win close games. Like, they're just always going to do that wrong thing late in the game. But I do wonder what it's going to look like with a rebuild because he didn't have to rebuild Memphis. That program was in pretty good shape after Mike Norvell left for Florida State. And so I do kind of wonder if that's going to be an uphill climb. But, man, they had, 57 transfers or something like that? I mean, it's insane the turnover that roster has undergone. KJ Jackson, ironically enough, is one of the guys who stayed. So, yeah, I think it's going to be really difficult for them to keep their head above water in SEC play. If they win multiple SEC games this year, I'll be stunned.
Connor O'Gara from the next round is our guest talking SEC quarterbacks. LSU plays those three teams. Alabama comes to Tiger Stadium. LSU will visit Tennessee and Arkansas in the last 2 weeks of the season. Tigers don't play Vanderbilt this year, but I'm not, and that's why I'm not paying attention to Vanderbilt. They're not on LSU's schedule. I was stunned that the five-star quarterback that they signed and beat up Georgia for not going to start the season. Did that surprise you?
Yeah, it definitely did. And I think Jared Curtis, everybody kind of knows the recruiting story. Maybe they even know that he was he's got more appearances in feature films than he does starts at the college level in the breadwinner. But yeah, I think everybody looked at him and assumed, well, he's not going to go to Vandy unless he's going to be the starter right away, right? Like, that makes a lot of sense. But Blaise Berlowitz has now 3 years already in that Tim Beck offense. He was the backup to Diego Pavia when they were both at New Mexico State. Diego Pavia and Tim Beck were the package deal that came over, and so far that's paid dividends. So I think they look at this situation with Tim Beck, who's a 62-year-old offensive coordinator, is one of the most underrated people in this sport, and they go, well, wait a minute, that guy actually knows how to run the offense. let's see what he can do. If he's bad, then we'll turn to the 5-star, and we'll still have everybody that's really excited to see him, as opposed to going the other way around and kind of wondering, hey, what does it look like with this guy that's got all this experience, at least understanding the offense in practice, albeit as a backup to Diego Pavia. So I think they just kind of want to see what they have and just want to feel like maybe we don't have to have this massive regression. They're due for regression, obviously, in a post-Diego Pavia world, but they kind of want to see this thing through before they feel like they have to turn to Jared Curtis.
Tim Beck had Blake Baker's defense on roller skates last year. There's no question. That was kind of when you felt like it was the beginning of the end for the Brian Kelly era, and it certainly ended when A&M ran him out of the stadium. But Tim Beck's offense was cooking that day, especially in the second half. Connor, appreciate your time. One more question as we get you out of here. Just a thumbnail, or as long as you want to go, I guess, on the drama around this fifth-year deal that LSU seems to be involved in, though not directly legally yet.
Yeah, what a disaster to be talking about as we're,
Yes.
I guess 2 days before actual football being played. I can't believe that this is happening, but I also can. And I think if you're an LSU fan, you're looking at this, the one takeaway that you can have as an LSU fan, regardless of kind of how you feel about the ethics of all of this, is you hoped that Lane Kiffin would go to the ends of the earth to be able to make his team better. Like, this is a positive sign to be like, wait a minute, we had the best returning tight end in all of college football on Trey'Dez Green, and Lane Kiffin is trying to circumvent the rules in any way possible to get a way to have Daquan Wright play for this team. That is a net positive if I'm an LSU fan. As for everybody else that's just looking at the sport as a whole going, wait a minute, what are we doing? We're allowing NFL players to come back and play? This is utterly ridiculous, and we've lost the plot. I definitely agree with that. I think that it gets to a certain place where we all kind of understand what it means to play in the NFL versus playing in college. And that's a line that, as you've mentioned, I know you wrote about this as well, we have never had to cross it. And this is maybe the line that we view as, okay, you can't actually cross that line. All these other things about paying for play and all that other stuff, we're okay with that now, but this is the one line that you can't really cross. And so now LSU kind of in the crosshairs, maybe not in the crosshairs. It's a mess. And I think many people are going to have discussions about this moving forward well into the season.
Yeah, I just don't think those conversations are going to dominate campus next Saturday when Clemson comes to town. My hope is that we can lock in on the green grass in Tiger Stadium and not worry about it for those 4 hours. But I guess that remains to be seen. We'll figure it out. Connor, we'll be watching, we'll be reading, we'll be listening to the next round. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Connor O'Gara from the next round, talking quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference. Thursday shows brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. We still got 45 minutes to go. Come hang out with us. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. BoudreauxElectrical.com. Give yourself the peace of mind to know the power's not going to go out on you. If you don't have a Generac home standby generator and you're listening to me, I bet in the course of the last 3 months, whether it's been an afternoon thunderstorm like we had earlier this week, whether it's been just a heat-related outage in your neighborhood, or you're not even sure what happened, but your power went out, I'm sure that's happened to the majority of you. You can prevent that. You can get that Generac home standby generator installed by the local team at Boudreaux's Electrical Services, and that's important. You can get it from the big box stores. They'll sell you a Generac home standby generator. But do you ever hear from them again? At Boudreaux's Electrical, you get a local person to come out, survey your land, and give you that quote. You get a local team of full-time Boudreaux's Electrical employees to install that generator. They will monitor it locally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that if there is a mechanical issue, they're aware of it and they can come out and handle it. By the way, when they come out and handle it, it's a local team that comes out and does the fix. If you've already bought a Generac home standby generator and you didn't buy it from Boudreaux's Electrical, but you want that local service, you can get it with the Boudreaux's Boost. You just got to call Neil and Melissa Boudreaux at Boudreaux's Electrical at 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562. Or you can reach out at 225-300-9389. You can check them out the easy way online at BoudreauxElectrical.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Always love telling you about my friend Sean Sagrera and Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I'm going to give you Sean's number at the end of this read. So if you've been hearing me for months and months, well over a year now, talk about Sagrera Farms, and you're thinking today might be the day you make that call, get your phone ready because I'll give you the number here coming up shortly. But at the Palmer House, it's the only thing we eat. We eat Sagrera Farms beef. because it's better. It's just better. Because you're getting prime Angus beef every single time. This is a labor of love for Sean. It starts with a genetic process, and then it comes together with that cow that's raised on grass, finished on grain, dry-aged 45 days, and you get prime, tender, well-marbled, flavorful beef. There's two places you can get Sagrera Farms beef. You can get it at Supper Club. You can get it at the farm. And if you call Sean and say, hey, I heard Hunt talk about you, you can go out to the farm. You can see their process. And you can pick out your half cow, your full cow, your quarter. If you don't like it, you don't pay for it. But I know that you've been going wherever you go to buy your beef, and those prices keep climbing. How's the quality? What do you know about that beef? How many DNA are in that pack of ground beef that you get? Do you know they've been used steroids or inappropriate antibiotics? You know at Sagrera Farms what you're getting. Prime, flavorful Angus beef. Steaks, ground beef, briskets, roasts. We've had them all at the Palmer House, and they are phenomenal. We won't do it another way. So call Sean, 225-719-1723. 225-719-1723. Send him a text. Say, hey, I heard your read on Hunt's show. I'd like to talk about beef. He would love to have that conversation with you. I promise you. You won't be disappointed. Sagrera Farms, they bring your Thursday shows each and every week. I want to react to that segment with Connor about the SEC quarterbacks. LSU plays 3 of those teams. And those games are all late. They're all November games. Alabama, Tennessee, and Arkansas. All late games. But it was fascinating to hear Connor talk about Ryan Grubb's offense and their inability to run the ball. Because when you look at the last 2 seasons at Alabama, and you look at where they've ranked in the Southeastern Conference running the football, it's been awful. Last year, they ran the ball for 104 yards per game. You know what LSU ran for? 104 yards per game. They were separated by 0.1 per game. Now, Alabama obviously played 15 games. LSU played 13. So if you look at the total yardage marks, you're talking about a boost of 210 for Alabama, but they played 2 more games. Alabama ran for 104.1 yards, and LSU ran for 104.0. Did you see LSU's running game last year? Atrocious. And Alabama's was every single bit as awful. And I asked Connor, like, can they fix that? He's like, I don't think so. Well, I went back and looked at 2024 rushing. And Alabama was better, but they had Jalen Milroe. So that's not really running the ball. That's a horse at quarterback. So if you think that Keelan Russell is going to be able to run like Jalen Milroe, maybe it works. But Jalen Milroe is a freak. Keelan Russell is a great athlete. But Jalen Milroe looks like a tailback. So that's fascinating to me because I don't believe you can get this thing done in the SEC if you cannot hand the ball off and run it. And the statistics would suggest Ryan Grubb's offense can't really do that. And he gave a great example of Seattle, who was just an okay offense, and then he left, and they morphed into a Super Bowl team just right after that, running the ball better. That's interesting. Because the only offense that I can really think of that really ran the ball well without an offensive line that established it was LSU in 2023. And if you find me a quarterback that plays like that, then I'll find you an offense that can do it. But if you can, there aren't Jaden Daniels that just show up every year. Jaden Daniels, and I don't give a rip about the jersey thing from 3 weeks ago. Let's just talk about what he did on the field. That guy is going to be as underappreciated a Heisman winner as there will ever be because his defense was so bad and his team accomplished so little. And they didn't win any huge games that year. They lost the shootout against Ole Miss because Dallas Turner flagrantly targeted him and knocked him out of the game. They lost in Tuscaloosa. They didn't win any important games that year. And I get that. Most Heisman winners do. But he was incredible and carried an offensive line completely geared towards pass blocking and carried an offense. I looked back at LSU's 2023 rushing stats, and like Logan Diggs was the top running back. He ran for 653 yards. Their second running back, Josh Williams, ran for 284 on the year. Jaden almost ran for that against Florida. So, yeah, if you can do it, you can score a bunch of points and be a good enough offense to win a championship without a great running game if your quarterback has a Superman cape on. But does Keelan Russell have that? Or is he going to have to do it all himself through the air? That just doesn't sound like a winning formula to me. I know Ryan Coleman Williams can be awesome. I know Keelan Russell has the wow factor. But if you can't hand it off and run the football, it's going to be tough sledding. Now, you look at Tennessee, it kind of goes the same way for Faison Brandon. I don't know how many times I'm going to call him Brandon Faison, and I'm a guy whose name is Hunt, so I get that the last name first thing can get inverted pretty quickly. But Faison Brandon, not Brandon Faison, he is going to take these reins as a true freshman signal caller. As he mentioned, Counter did in the last segment, the first one since 2020 when Ken Seals did it for Vanderbilt in front of no humans in COVID stadiums. I kind of wish LSU got Tennessee earlier now, right? Kind of wish LSU got Tennessee when Faison Brandon had 3 starts instead of what he will have theoretically is 10 starts, because that's the second to last game of the season. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving. I'm going to be watching him because this Josh Heupel offense has morphed into different things over the years. That Hendon Hooker team was chucking it down the field. I mean, it was all out aerial bombs, deep balls. They came into Tiger Stadium, wore those heinous gray uniforms, played against LSU in those heinous all-white uniforms, and just dusted LSU. Ran them right off the field. But they were high-flying, chucking that football. And then they came back, and their best team that made the playoffs led the SEC in rushing. It always goes fast, but the style that they play with kind of depends on what the player is. Hendon Hooker didn't need the top running game in the SEC. He could just throw it. But Nico Iamaleava taking over, young player, they needed the running game. Well, I think Faison Brandon's going to need the running game. And we'll see if they have that. I guess you could theoretically say LSU also gets a chance to kind of fine-tune this Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss offense while Faison Brandon's growing in Josh Heupel's offense. But I'd rather veteran Sam Leavitt play early in Knoxville against a freshman Faison Brandon than play that game in late November. And then it comes to Arkansas, and I'll just be honest with you. I don't think the Hogs are going to be very good. That's not a hot take. They're rarely very good. But it did surprise me a little bit that the Arkansas veteran got the nod over Ryan Silverfield's recruit to Memphis. Because, yeah, you're talking about a guy that's been at Arkansas longer, but he was under Bobby Petrino and Sam Pittman, not at Memphis with Ryan Silverfield. But by that same token, the SEC generally recruits a higher level athlete than Memphis does. I just don't think it's going to matter. I wrote a column at LouisianaSports.net today kind of going through LSU season as I saw it, which has now been dwarfed by the story we wrote with the words from the attorney representing the players that have filed for that preliminary injunction, temporary restraining order. I think I would get the legal terms by now. But I wrote, I think Arkansas is going to be bad. And I think by the time LSU gets there on that holiday weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, you're going to be talking about a student section that's probably checked out because their team is so bad. You're going to be talking about a fan base that realizes it's hunting season on a holiday weekend and families in town. And, oh, by the way, John Calipari's top 10 basketball team has started things up, and they're probably paying attention to them. So you're catching Arkansas at a good time at the end of the season when the players are looking to hit the portal. They've probably checked out. As Connor said, I'd be shocked if they win more than one SEC game. You're going to be talking about a team that is probably 1-7 or 0-8 by the time you get to them at the end of the season. How many people are going to be in that stadium? That's probably the more important thing than talking about who the quarterback is. It's Thanksgiving weekend for the students. It's hunting time in the state of Arkansas. We know that well down here in Louisiana. And their basketball team is like sky-high hopes. Calipari's had 2 good teams here in Arkansas that have made good runs in the NCAA tournament, and this team's supposed to be better than those. So I like where that game rests on the schedule. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. But it's interesting to watch how these battles have been settled, and they're going to impact LSU in November with Alabama, trip to Tennessee, trip to Arkansas on Thanksgiving week. So just a little look at following up on Connor Aguirre's thoughts just from my perspective, but great stuff from Connor. If you missed that interview that we just did with him at the top of the hour, just hopping in the car, head over to the carpool line or whatever the case may be. Check that out on demand wherever you find your audio Hunt Palmer show, because Connor is great dealing with the SEC and had a lot of interesting things to say about all of those different quarterback battles, even Vanderbilt, which LSU doesn't play, so I'm not as concerned with. 30 minutes to go. Come back with us on the Hunt Palmer show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Go take a tour at Marucci. Awesome spot there at Marucci. Official bat of Major League Baseball. The official bat of Major League Baseball. That's no small thing. And you would think the official bat of Major League Baseball, maybe in Kentucky, maybe in the state of New York. No, right here in Baton Rouge. Best players in the world swing Marucci. You can see how those bats are made every single day. 1,200 of them sent out to the best players in the world. See where they shave them down, see where they stain them, see where they ship them off. It's a really cool tour. You can also become a member at the Hitter's House. Take some swings. Matt was there yesterday. If you're a member at the Hitter's House, you can get key card access into their cages, their workout facilities every single day. Weekends, school days, work evenings. You got a youth baseball or softball player that's eating up with it, wants to get better. Marucci's Hitter's House membership may be the best thing. It's a true gem here in Baton Rouge. Take the campus tour. Become a member at the Hitter's House. All courtesy of our friends at Marucci.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Every day, Hunt Palmer Show brought to you by One Bath and Closets, online at onebathandclosets.com. David Duvall and his team been at this 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. So if you need a redesign or remodel, why would you go anywhere else but One Bath and Closets? Don't go with the local guy down the street who takes some cash from you. Does he know what he's doing? He could. I'm not ruling him out, but I know David Duvall at One Bath and Closets knows exactly what they're doing, and they've got the work to prove it. You can check them out at onebathandclosets.com. They want to remind you, if you've got a crack in your tub or a crack in your shower, don't just disregard it. Take a look and call someone, preferably One Bath and Closets, because the last thing you want is for a small crack to allow a lot of water to get places you don't need it to be. And then in your ceilings, in your walls, in your floors, you've got mold, you've got rot, and you've got a significant problem that comes with a significant expense. David sees it all the time, he tells me. So if you see an imperfection in one of those areas where water could become a real problem, call David Duvall One Bath and Closets, have him come look at it. Maybe you can catch it really early and you just need a simple fix and a small redesign, new shower, you're good as go. David Duvall is happy to do that for you. Financing options are available, 0% up to 18 months if you qualify. It's One Bath and Closets. Check out their great work, see their great reviews, and get that free consultation with David today at onebathandclosets.com. All right. We're an hour and a half into the show. We've hit some hard-hitting topics. We hit the legal battle for these fifth-year guys. We've talked about the Saints and their preseason game coming up on Friday night. We've talked about SEC quarterbacks. We've hit some important topics. I would not suggest this is the most important thing we're going to talk about, but I do find it reasonably interesting because it's the team we cover and it's the national lens of that team. We're talking Saints, we're talking NFL. Ben Solak for ESPN.com put together a piece and ranked the NFL teams from the most watchable to the least watchable. And as I tell you every time I read one of these, I think in my head, what's the local angle here? Where are the Saints ranking? And I looked at that and I went, well, they were not watchable last year. That's why they didn't play any primetime games. Young quarterback that maybe most of the league's not too familiar with. Bad division. Probably not great. Probably not the most watchable team in the league. And I started to scroll through, and they've got the Bears as the most watchable. You've got a upbeat, energetic coach and a quarterback that does some wild stuff. I got you on that. Rams number 2, just a clinical offense, pass rushing defense. I got you. Team that could win the Super Bowl. The Lions, they've been high flying. They're pretty watchable. I get it. And you continue to roll down. And the Saints are down the list. There's no question. The Saints come in at number 24 on this list. And as Solak writes, hey, the Saints defense led the league in success rate the last half of the season last year. How cool is that? So this is totally meaningless for watchability, but they face bad opponents, and Brandon Staley's preferred style of light box defense leads to some quiet games, so maybe not the most watchable, but for this year's watchability, they may have something cooking. They return a lot of last season's defensive production. Tyler Shuck's offense may take a leap as they've got some protection for him with David Edwards, and they went and got Travis Etienne, who's fun to watch, and Jordan Tyson, although he's hurt, can be really fun to watch. Maybe they're an ascendant team. Then he writes, of course, you could just wait until the Saints are clearly good to start watching them. You can also get on the ground floor and make the hipster claim that you knew them before they were popular, which I thought was an interesting way to frame it. And that's what we're hoping, right? We're hoping that the Saints do have the pieces to an exciting team, but no one knows it yet, right? No one immediately thinks of Chris Olave when they think of the best 5 or 8 receivers in the NFL. That's just not a name that pops right into your conscience. Tyler Shuck, if you ask Joe NFL fan at the Lions or Vikings or Dolphins tailgate in 2 weeks, name the top 15 NFL quarterbacks. Not one of them is going to mention Tyler Shuck, unless he had him on his fantasy team at the end of last year or something. So there's not a lot of name recognition there. You don't have the splashy All-Pro or Pro Bowler. But maybe the league's just not paying attention, and the Saints are going to burst onto the scene. One thing that Luke told me during this show back in the first hour that we're going to have to evaluate here is just how good this defense is. We all know that the offense has got to be on the come. They brought in a lot of investment, fortified the offensive line, brought in a new rusher, drafted a number 1 wide receiver, signed another one, quarterback's growing up a year. You know the story on offense, they've got to ascend. The defense has to maintain what they were at the end of last year against bad teams. I get it. For this team to be fun and to win games and to get attention. And what you saw last week was Trevor Lawrence finding some success in the red zone, Dak Prescott getting going in that joint practice, and then apparently by everybody that was there, Matt Stafford just had a field day. And that is mildly concerning. And I use the term mildly on purpose. It's a joint practice. It's not the Super Bowl. But they need to be good on defense. Did you replace Demario Davis properly? Are you going to get similar production from Cam Jordan's end spot with whatever personnel you want to use where he gave you 10.5 sacks? He probably won't, but can you get that from your 2 new additions there and him? We'll see. Are your corners better than they were the end of last year? Or are they still the same? If your defense is not top 15 in the league, top 12 in the league, you're not going to make the playoffs. I don't think the Saints are going to be an offensive juggernaut. And that probably makes them less watchable. Because what's at the top of this list of watchability? Bears, exciting offense, creative coach, uber talented quarterback. Rams, 2 stud wide receivers, brilliant coach, Hall of Fame quarterback. Lions, flashy running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. Goff throws for a bajillion yards. Like, nobody right now thinks the Saints are going to be that. So you become watchable by being good. And you're good if your defense maintains. And last week, it sounds like they had some issues. So this is kind of a segment about how you ascend in the NFL, and then voicing kind of a quiet concern over here that the piece to this puzzle that we kind of thought was the constant. You got Brandon Staley back. You've got continuity. You've got Chase Young back. You've got Granderson back. You've got Cam Jordan back. Godshaw's there. You got Pete Werner back. Kool-Aid's back. Riley's back. Sanker's back. Reed, healthy. Back. Okay, that's a lot on defense. They better be top 12 defense in the league. Well, it didn't sound like they were top 12 defense in the league last week in a controlled practice setting. All we have to go off right now is reports from the media, and I'm not sitting here running panic alarms based on a list on ESPN that had him as the 24th most watchable team in the NFL. That's not the point. The point is just to kind of survey this and go, okay, how do you become a buzzworthy team? How do you become a team that, hey, if you want to make this into something that really does matter, not what people are watching on their Sunday ticket on Sunday, we got to go watch the Saints. No, that's not necessarily it. But, hey, how do we become a really enticing place for free agents to come? Because people are interested in what the Saints are doing, and they're an ascending product in the NFL that those hipsters were really paying attention to in the offseason of 2026. Well, you need the defense to show up, and then you need the offense to ascend. It's possible. And it seems like the offense took some steps forward last week, and the defense, you're like, all right, come on, guys, tighten it up. Got to get healthy. Got to get out of Dallas without any more injuries. Got to rest up for a week, and you got to go to Detroit, one of the most watchable teams in the league, and figure it out. Incidentally, what's Baltimore on this list with old Lamar Jackson, who was perhaps the most exciting player in the NFL at one point? I didn't check where Baltimore was on this list. Number 11 for Baltimore. So you're playing two top 11 entertaining teams in the NFL in your first two games. Jordan, I know this doesn't mean a hill of beans, but you get where I'm coming from?
Now I get exactly where you're coming from, but ultimately, it's simple fact is the Saints are not in the eye. Did we have any national televised games?
Times last year, zero.
So when you're coming off a season with that, and you come off of you put together a win streak down the stretch, but you played nobodies pretty much. So you wasn't knocking out a big dog here and there where people are like, okay, the Saints beat the Packers or something like that. So only way where people are going to shine a light on New Orleans again, obviously we got the Monday night game against the Falcons. You need to show up that game. But again, you just said your first two games of the year, Lions, Ravens. Huge fan bases, two teams that have expectations. And you know what? If you really want to get on the national radar and people to pay attention to the Saints, let Tyler Shuck and them boys go out there to one of them in Detroit or the Baltimore and light them up. I promise you there will be talking heads talking about the Saints. Wait, before we go, though, who were the teams under the Saints? So who was 25?
Least watchable?
Yeah, I'm about to say, who's worse than us? I just need to see this real quick.
Take a guess.
I mean, got to be Falcons, right?
Falcons
got to be below us.
Below 28.
Okay, I would say the Falcons. I would say the Raiders. I wouldn't want to watch the Raiders.
I wouldn't want to watch the Raiders.
Yeah.
They're below 27.
Raiders, Jets. I ain't trying to watch
25,
them.
You're right.
Let's say
one you wouldn't guess. I mean, you might, but it doesn't come to mind because they've been such a great organization.
Really great organization.
The Steelers.
Oh no, I don't want to watch the Steelers too. Nah, Steelers.
The Cardinals.
Yeah, I can't even tell you. Jeremiah Love and a bunch of randoms. That's
the Titans.
Titans, yeah, they ain't really moving me too much. Especially they say Cam Ward's been struggling, Cardinal Tate's been struggling,
Malik Willis in Miami,
Yeah,
and then number 32,
God bless.
least watchable team, the Browns.
Yeah, okay. Who was the one team above the Saints? Let me just get a perspective. Who was the one team above us?
It was a reasonable franchise. Let me get
Who's
back
above
and look.
us?
Giants.
Okay, we can shoot for that. That's a story franchise.
Guess who's 22? Right in front of the Giants. You can't guess.
The Bucks?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs that low? Really? Damn. I mean, they out on Mahomes. I don't know how they're that low. But the Taylor Swift effect of that too.
The Chiefs are good because their defense is awesome, and that's not what this is for.
Yeah.
The Bears might have a terrible defense. I'm trying to get my Cubs fixed. They're talking too much about the
Caleb Williams,
Bears.
but they love him.
They think they're going to score a bunch of points.
Oh,
They think their defense might stink.
Really?
So,
well, I mean, Dennis Allen, man. I mean, I will give him. I'll give him that. He's good on as a coordinator. But
they
we're
think
talking
that they got problems on the D line. They
Really?
got problems in the secondary. They don't like that defense.
I love that
in Chicago right now.
Dennis
Might run your boy out of town.
Well, you know who they picked up though, right? They needed reinforcements. You know who the Bears picked up?
No.
Davenport.
Okay.
Yeah, D.A. Davenport.
That's not going to get it done.
Yeah.
Let's come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. Check out that website. Got whatever you need. It's so user-friendly. Want a new vehicle? Want a brand new ride? They got them at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. You can check them out and get great deals on trucks. Talking about Chevy Silverados from 2026. 0% APR financing for 5 years plus no monthly payments for 90 days. 2026 Sierras, 1500s. 2.9 APR financing for 72 months plus an additional $1,500 in allowance. Got to get those deals in August. If you want a new ride, check the website out. They got lots of them. If you want a pre-owned vehicle, they've got pre-owned vehicles to meet any budget. So if you know what make and model you want, you definitely want that Chevy. You definitely want that GMC. Maybe it's a Tahoe. Maybe it's a Denali. pre-owned vehicle, search by mileage, search by price. It's right there. It's all there at FabryChevrolet.com. But of course, you can go by and see them at Highway 61 in St. Francisville and get that wonderful customer service that has made the Fabry family successful in this market for 35 years because they take care of their customers. Need a service? They service all makes and model in their service department, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Of course, you can always check out that entire inventory at FabryChevrolet.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Excited for tomorrow's show. Going to preview Saints and Cowboys in that final preseason game, and I'll give you my thoughts on all 12 LSU football games for the season before we get into the final open weekend for LSU before the season starts next weekend with Clemson. We come back on Monday. We'll be reacting to Lane Kiffin's press conference. Who knows if he'll get a single Clemson question, quite honestly, in that press conference. I'm sure he'll deflect every single one that comes his way, but I'm confident he'll be asked a lot about things that don't have to do with his current football team. But that's just the way it goes when you have those Monday press conferences and things are as public as they are right now. But we'll certainly start previewing Clemson starting on Monday. But inching towards the weekend, the final one without a lot of football, just a little bit of football. And we'll probably talk a little bit about that tomorrow as well. Right now, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so Chili's is opening its first ever location on a golf course. Chili's is taking over the Bell Golf Club in Burbank, California, creating a clubhouse with Chili's menu items and limited edition rollback merch. So Chili's at the golf course. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I was skeptical of this. Thought it might be like something like at the turn or something. I don't like to eat between like 9 and 10. But if you're talking about finish your round, go get some chicken crispers. Oof. I can be on board for that. Finish your round, get one of those drinks they have, a little queso. Yeah, I can get down with that. So yeah, I'm for it.
All right, so an elementary school teacher has gone viral for creating a designated gas station in her classroom where students can go where they need to pass when. Candy Sydney Browning, a second-grade teacher in Atlanta, Georgia, came up with an unusual classroom setup after getting tired of students interrupting lessons whenever somebody needed to pass gas. Rather than sending the children out of the room, Sydney Browning created a dedicated corner called the gas station, completed with a gusty wind area and air freshener. So designated fart spots for the kids. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. No kid's going to use this.
Oh, yeah, this is standing up. Just want to be in the corner.
You stand up. What are you doing? Well, I'm just going here to rip one. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is you're going to have the kids try to get one silently out there. It's going to happen. You're going to play it off. It's a tale as old as time in the classroom. This is not going to work. Poor idea. Poor execution.
Gas station.
It's not gonna happen. Now, if it was an all guys school, I can see making a scene of some sort trying to do that. Problems. But no, elementary school, that's not going to work.
So I went to Holy Cross, an all-boys school, and I'm just thinking about if they had something like that. I know this elementary, it would be get abused. Like from off rip, it's abused. It's getting abused. All right, so Philadelphia Phillies designated hitter Kyle Schwarber hit the MLB-leading 40th home run Wednesday night against the Seattle Mariners. Schwarber home run tied a Phillies record for the most 40-plus home run seasons, matching former first baseman Ryan Howard. The 33-year-old Schwarber, who hit 56 home runs last season, is also tied for the most 40-plus home run seasons among active players with Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. So when he was on the Cubs, did you see Schwarber's career playing out like this? Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. This is the biggest mistake of the Theo Epstein era, Jed Hoyer as well. They non-tendered him a contract, meaning they just didn't ask him to come back.
Wow.
And that he was the Hall of Famer of the group. It was Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, that whole Contreras, the whole group of really good players, and Schwarber was the guy they just didn't have a position for, and they had Ian Happ coming up, so they're just like, well, we'll just let him go, and then he's going to the Hall of Fame. So that was a miss in that era for the Cubs. They did a lot of things really well to get to that World Series, and turns out when they sold off that team, one of the trades they made was Javi Baez to the Mets for PCA, who's going to become the next face. Yeah. So they did a good job getting guys back from all the guys that they traded, and the guys that they traded, the Rizzo, Bryant, those guys all flatlined after they left. So They did a lot of good things, but non-tendering Schwarber is going to be the one that hurts.
Yeah, I didn't know y'all just let him walk out the door.
Just
I thought it was
non-tendered him a contract.
Oh my goodness. So that's it for take it or leave it.
All right, that's it for us today. Open the show with my thoughts on this temporary restraining order, preliminary injunction, and the advance. If you missed our story on LouisianaSports.net, we spoke with the attorney, one of the attorneys who's representing the group that got that temporary restraining order and that will go to court on Monday. And he's calling for Greg Sankey to show up in a Louisiana courtroom because he believes that they're in violation of Louisiana state law with the SEC. We wrote about it. I talked about it. You can catch that on demand. Also talked some LSU football, talked some Saints football, talked some SEC football with Connor O'Gara. Appreciate him. And then Luke Johnson, who came on to talk Saints. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. Missed the whole show? Catch it on demand wherever you find your sound at Hunt Palmer Show. Thursday show is always brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us here on this Thursday. Have a safe and happy evening. Matt's going to drive you home next on AFR. Back tomorrow with Friday show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, LifetimeRoofingLA.com, LifetimeRoofingLA.com. They got a lifetime workmanship warranty at Lifetime Roofing. So if you need a new roof or you think you may need a new roof, go with the roofer you can trust. Lifetime Roofing. They'll come out. They'll survey the situation. If you need that roof, you get a lifetime workmanship warranty, which doesn't just back the craftsmanship. It also backs the materials, which are backed by Certainteed, one of the most trusted names in building materials. Doesn't have to be some sort of disaster that comes through. If you just feel like your roof is aging or you might want to be selling your home in the near future and want to have that resale value at the highest it can be, get that new roof. Lifetime Roofing can help you out with it. And if you need financing, they've got it. 0% for 18 months. If you do have an insurance claim to file, they can help finance a deductible if it's sizable as well. It's Lifetime Roofing, Baton Rouge-based, Louisiana proud, can help you out in the entire state. It's Lifetime Roofing, online at lifetimeroofingla.com.